Who's radical? Radical!
Pick up, nigga!
Welcome to Sharp Boundary Break, but it's actually... Let's start off with a look inside the Simpsons house. It's nothing particularly interesting. Most of you already know what it looked like even if you hadn't already watched the video this was based off of, but people will scream at me if I didn't show it off. Here's something Shesez couldn't do. Explore these buildings in a car. Of course, every other building is as hollow as Donut Team's progress with Donut Mod 4. 99% of these buildings aren't worth the time. In fact, a lot of places aren't noteworthy. But I promise you that this video will showcase a lot of stuff that Shesez missed that I'm sure a bunch of you are spamming in his comments section about. Please note that there's no guarantee that you'll find everything you wanted to see in this video.
Wow, this car sure can take a beating.
So here we are in the Simpsons house. Or are we? This interior is placed near the abyss while the rest of the map is still loaded. Don't ask why. Let's just say, radical. There's Apu and Lisa. They are placed there because that's where the interior they appear in is loaded. People might think it's just leftovers from Radical, but it's actually because I haven't loaded the other interiors yet. Anyway, 3D modeler tricks blah 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 illusion that the player's inside blah blah blah. You probably can't even see that chimney through normal means. God, that wall over there looks disgusting. This chair is made of painted cardboard. And this quote-unquote exit leads to the kitchen. Remind me to buy a welcome mat teleporter. How about this newspaper? Sorry, but I can't get any closer. The tool I use to move the camera is extremely sensitive. Now here's something I just noticed when I was recording. What the hell? Is that the TV remote? How did I just discover that now if it can be seen without cheats? Here's a little fun fact. The TV gag in level 1 is bugged unlike the other two Evergreen Terrace levels. I'll compare it to the others later on. Now look at this gag and see how it works from a different perspective. As you can see, Abe Simpson has died of hypothermia. Every gag that plays once work like this. I won't show every gag, but some of them will have an honorable showcase.
Oh yeah, stretch the legs and the crutch.
Now let's take a look at the Quickie Mart.
It was like that when I got here. I'm a lean, mean, speed thingy. Nothing lasts forever. Once you get from something, keep working and I'm not abandoning these guys.
Before we enter it, here's a look inside. The only thing interesting is the texture on these levers. That's the texture generally used for characters like Homer and the pedestrians. Why is it bugged out? Because Radical. Like the Simpson house, it's placed near the abyss. Another thing I never noticed until now. This hot dog machine. I don't mean the seams inside, by the way. How about a look at that picture Krusty is ogling at? I know Shesez already showcased this, but this video wouldn't be complete if I left it out. Of course you do, you lousy perv. Moleman's all set to get hit by a football. You don't want to know how many times I had to keep re-entering the quickie mart just to get this to load. Anyway, there's the football that appears out of nowhere. And here's where the football came from. Let me try to cheer him up. What about these morons? First, here's the best part of this gag. I think Jimbo had an accident. And here are the snack bars Jimbo steals. Jimbo runs away with that pack in his hands. The ones he sneaks in his pockets are down here. And the ones Jimbo leaves behind are over here. Pay close attention to the bars he sneaks in his pockets. If you didn't catch that, the 2 bars were reused after they already went in Jimbo's pants. Ugh, remind me never to say that again. Is Carney a wannabe superhero or something? Wish I were that flexible. Oh dear God. It can't get any worse than this, can it? Now I'll go over the school. One more for good measure.
Coming through. I wish I had a dog with a status.
A little look inside the school before entering wouldn't hurt, even though it's obvious that it's Donut Mod 4 Hollow. Of course, here's the interior from a distance. And now the classroom. I really don't have much to say about that, isn't obvious, so let the video speak for itself. Now for the gag with Willie and the rake. This rake is also using that texture used for characters, but this time somewhat more correctly. Take note of where the rake is located. And now the big reveal. Oh, how I love Radical with their lazy designs. Doorways are for bandwagon memers anyway. More broken feet. Here's something Shesez went over. These buttons use the textures from the power plant. Again, I don't have much to say. I'll go over another school gag in a later level. How about the power plant? There's only one area that's worth exposing more of Radical's lazy design. You can actually see this floor without cheating. That room has no floor.
My gosh! Oh yeah, crystal eggs in the crunch.
Since we're already here, have a closer look. And finally, Mr. Burns' mansion. I'm not supposed to be here, but since it's technically breaking the boundaries, what the hell? Forget stairs. I have the power of cheat keys. Fake sky as always. Damn, this mansion is a total mess. More fake skies. That just about wraps things up for level 1. Let's go to a more interesting level. Here we are on level 2. There's a lot more to find in this level. You don't even need a free cam to find some of these oddities, but it's worth pointing them out because who doesn't like seeing totally radical oversights? The first thing we're going to inspect is the cat. Uphold. How far does this pussy go? Well, first, look at it from a normal perspective. Here it is from the best view I can get out of it. If I went any further or looked away from the gag, the cat would not be rendered because unlike Dolphin's free look cam, the tool I'm using overrides the actual game cam. And I can't run SHAR on Dolphin because it runs extremely slow. Not to worry. There's another tool that can allow me to showcase this gag with a lot more rendering space. I have my reasons for not wanting to use this tool that much. 1. It breaks the tradition of boundary break. And I already broke too many traditions at this point. 2. The shading on smaller models are atrocious. 3. You can't get rid of that menu. And 4. You can't render these models and the world models simultaneously. Let's spend some time around the stadium. Nothing mind-blowing in terms of secrecy, but a bit of trivia regarding Radical's ability to use a computer with hooves is always fun to expose. Before we quote-unquote enter the stadium, have a look at this parking garage. You don't need cheats to see this, but whoever was in charge of building this garage decided to throw away all of their blueprints except the first draft. Got to give them credit though. Shelbyville's construction management can't top this. I'll park right in front of that door any day. Just look at how uniquely striped the side of these columns are. And the best part is, wait for it. These vehicles have collision. Donut Team and its community, myself included, has known about this for a while. Why keep it to ourselves? Now for the moment you've been waiting for. The inside of the stadium. You shouldn't be surprised about what's up ahead.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Time to lay some rubber down.
Just need the driving key, dude.
As expected, nothing. Just strange geometry that you see in every other game. Honestly, the only thing worth bringing up is how the texture for the light bulbs are transparent rather than completely opaque. Other than that, it's pretty boring inside. The blimp above is as empty as you'd expect. Here's an area you probably didn't expect to have an oddity. Look at that reddish building.
My dad will pay for all the damages.
Now for a closer look. "3D buildings are overrated anyway. Just like the Annoy Squidward mod.
Oh man, that sucked.
Now we arrive at the highway. The following oddities don't require cheats to be found, so prepare to have your childhood ruined like how I ruined that mod about steamed hams. Twice. Look between these buildings. If you can't tell what that block is, that's part of the inaccessible road that I just went under. It's not the most pathetic part of the highway. That award goes to the other side of it. At least the cutoff from the other end isn't as noticeable.
Ow! I lost my buzz.
Take that!
Yeah, that was awesome.
I was thinking about showcasing the debris here, but I said forget it.
Full speed ahead!
Whoa, that was a big one.
Oh yeah, baby, bring it on!
Here's the pathetic part I was referring to. That path of course leads to SHARMP multiplayer with mission compatibility. And I think the other side has a portal that leads to Road Rage Returns but actually good. I get distracted over seams. Don't judge me. But this is just stupid. If that building were replaced with EA, then this would be more acceptable. Isn't this highway just magical? Now for the moment of truth.
Bogus.
Crap.
Ow.
Let's try that again.
Oh, this is too cool for school!
Just need the driving key.
Cool for school!
But seriously, it just leads to the area with the DMV.
Whee! Charlie horse! Charlie horse!
This wall collision is questionable.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Alright!
It's about time I got to the DMV. Does this bus have anything? Of course not. I do have a better question about this place. Why are there doors behind these doors? Because radical. Now that we're inside, have a look outside. hair. Oh my god. Look at those eyes. They are so tiny. Carl's face was so fucked up in this gag model that even Radical made an inside joke about it in the NPC variant of Carl's file. I'm going to get rid of that memory by having a look up top. The rest of this place is not very interesting, so let's move on. And here we are at Moe's.
Not the detailing.
The first thing that I'd like to point out is how awful Barney is animated here. He was better animated when he drinks varnish. No women's bathroom. Amazing. We all must have had this question before. How do the rotating pictures work? We'll get to the reflection later. It looks like the next texture is being loaded before the picture flips. If only the tool I used to control the camera wasn't so damn sensitive. Look at that mirror. The reflections of the people sitting and drinking don't appear, yet Bart's and Moe's reflections can be seen. Well, how about taking a look at Mirror World? If you ask me, there's something wrong with the mirror texture. It's a common problem with other transparent textures like the windshields from a bunch of vehicles. Let's get to the good stuff. The reflection is rendered behind the layer of the real geometry, so I can make a bunch of optical illusions. Unfortunately, I can't jump here, otherwise I'll fall into the abyss. I spent too much time here. Hopefully, you don't mind me messing around with the reflection. If you want to skip ahead, go to this timestamp.
Eat my dust, dust eaters.
Back in my day, we called sandwiches Flat Freddy. They cost 4 playing cards a bite. Now my story begins in 1952. We had to say dickety.
That's it for Moe's. There are still a few things outside I should show off.
Whoa, wicked.
There's one gag up this building that was more interesting than I originally anticipated.
Oh man, this sucks. That was totally awesome. Oh man, this sucks. Loser.
There are 3D rats behind their 2D counterparts. I thought some of them exploded when you activated this. Let me activate the gag to get a closer look at them. Must be mating season. Here's the part that surprised me. There's a random block with the rat texture. There's another random block in another level, and it's not the one Shesez already showcased. One more thing here. This machine is floating. Like the random block, there's another floating prop in a later level. Oh, and I forgot to show this off outside the DMV. This road leads straight to the buildings. I'm surprised no one at Donut Team mentioned this, especially considering it's actually very noticeable on the ground. I'd like to see Maka fix this in his mod called Fixing Radical Stupidity. Actually, most of this video is just making his progress much more difficult to manage. Anyway, that's all for level 2. Time for the level starring the most annoying character, Lisa. Believe me, I seriously did not want to do this part. Now that's out of the way, you should know what happens here. These comics don't even appear when you enter the Android dungeon. It's like SHARMP is still in beta or something. Other than that oddity, there are just low poly models and screwed up textures in here. This Willy gag has something that makes me uncomfortable. And I don't mean the eyes of this pig. Just watch the gag from this angle.
Where do you think you're going?
Someone slit that pig's throat, yet it's still alive. So here's where Willy stops. And the pig for some reason had to stop all the way over here. I guess it can't risk getting its head easily ripped apart outside the camera. The pig's head looks fine when it's not turning, but how Radical decided to separate its model into parts like an N64 game is beyond me. You know, I never noticed the Poochie merchandise here. I didn't even know it had dolls. And finally, this container. You had one job, whomever at Radical did this. I can't wait to repeat that 5 more times in this level alone. Now let's move on. There are a couple of things to see in Camp Krusty. These fish are hiding something, so let's check it out. Whose idea was it to screw up their tail fins? Never mind its glitchy transparency. The fish on the other side have the same oddity. And yes, there is collidable ground here. I don't even know what Radical were originally thinking before they made this revision of the fish. The tail fins don't even move when they are out of water. One last thing to see is how this flag is replaced. I thought for sure that the Camp Bart flag was already underground. The more you know. Time for the observatory. It has quite a number of optical illusions. But first, how about a comparison with this old hover bike and the final one? Basically, the only differences are that the old one has fewer polygons and doesn't have an environment map. How about the SREAK? Unfortunately, this gag doesn't have any models placed outside, so this was a disappointment. But to make up for it, this random cliff that you can't even see outside is really stupid, and the gags are no better. Looks like Willie had too much grease. The pig you're holding, because he looks more complete than your animation. What about these idiots again? Of course, radical with their standing on nothing fetish. Other than that, the gag isn't hiding anything else. This gag deserves a close-up. Someone at Donut Team brought this up a long time ago, but I had yet to see it in-game. This fish's texture is more fucked than Carl's fucked head at the DMV. Bumblebee Man's running animation doesn't even last until he's out of view. Well, no wonder it didn't finish, because he had a stroke. Is there anything good up here? Other than the scene from that fake sky, no. Oh, that's right, since there's a fake sky, there are two suns. Shesez showed the pin maker 5000 already. But there's something he didn't point out. Wait for it. Did you catch that? The log teleported incorrectly. And sometimes after the log gets shaved, it just falls. In fact, right when the animation starts or ends, there's a split second of the log teleporting underground.
I'd go faster if I took my pants off. What do you think?
Let's take a look at the beach. Don't worry about Lisa here. These sailboats are as flat as Lucas's humor. And this boat right here has an arrow texture. We modders have seen these pink textures all the time. I guess Radical really had no time with this level. I thought level 7 was the last level they finalized. Is there anything inside USS Jabediak? Like most props, no. I wondered how this gag works. Before I activate it, this gag has something hidden. There's that random block I was referring to during the level 2 segment. You can barely see it after you activate the gag. Unlike level 2's, this block is just one color. And there are parts of the crate, but they don't look like the ones that scatter after it breaks. I couldn't seem to find the hot pants before activation. They weren't in the crate. It must have been a particle effect instead of separate models. Of course, I didn't forget about these boats with the character textures. Thing is, you don't need cheats to find this oddity. Unfortunately, I did not find anything good inside the Duff Brewery or Crustu Studios. Most of the hidden things are just the usual cut-off geometry that you can't normally see. So let's just enjoy more rocket spam. Hey, it's not Shesez's video.
Where are they coming from? Sorry. I never saw these guys before.
Edna, are you watching?
I hope those were recyclable. These guys are everywhere. I hope those were recyclable.
We're back in Evergreen Terrace. Since level 4 is just level 1 but with the worst mission in the game, there's not much to cover. There's new stuff to find like this gag with Ned. What's with these gag characters having no pupils? Unlike the squeaky voiced teen at the DMV, this one is clear as storm over Springfield's final mission with the bumper cam since Ned isn't looking totally away from you. Maybe I should have commented about his arm before I activated the gag. Then again, I didn't bring up the fact that his body was clearly sticking out through the walls before he was supposed to appear. This is a different variation of the gag. This one looks a bit more complete. It still has the problem with Ned's body, but at least Radical fixed him missing his pupils. In this version of the gag, Homer throws Radical's own brain at Ned. Why is this not smooth shaded? Oh, that's right. It's Radical's brain. They should have cut Ned's head off like that instead of screwing with that pig model. The school in this level is unchanged compared to the first level in terms of gags. There was a gag in level 1 that I promised to show later on. I was going to show it there, but the showcase for this level would have been too short after I had already showed the Ned gags. Shesez showed this but didn't comment about the oddities here. Just look at Mr. Burns's teeth. And look at that picture on that container. It's not even attached. Then again, quite a number of things are disjointed in SHAR. I've returned to Mr. Burns's mansion since it's supposed to be inaccessible in level 1. Leaving level 4's mansion out wouldn't be fair. Nothing unusual here though, so I'm going to remain silent until the next level.
Let's see what this does. Oh, door box.
Level 5 didn't have anything interesting that wasn't already covered in Level 2. The museum is obviously hollow, so going inside is not worth the time. It's safe to assume that Level 5 isn't hiding anything that Level 2 never had. I would have saved some of the oddities from Level 2 for this level, but the problem was that they look better when it's bright outside. I forgot to show one thing in Level 3. And it's this box right here. Shesez and the developer already showed it off and explained its purpose respectively, so I'm not going to paraphrase them. Level 6 has the same oddities from Level 3, including the pink texture and copy and pasted geometry under the C spanker, so this section is also pretty short. And now for the final level in SHARP. But first, I want to prove that the TV gag in this level and Marge's level work properly. Here's a comparison of the TV gags. Back to Level 7, I went in Bart's room and found nothing interesting. No wonder I didn't check it out in Level 4. Here we are at the school. I've been trying to get this gag to stay put without it activating automatically for the past 10 minutes. It turns out that there's a duplicate gag in the level script that makes it play automatically with no sound. Way to go, Radical. Anyway, it's about time to see some mean material. Willie's looking hot. If it weren't for those fists, this gag would have been a major disappointment. Also, there's the light from the fire. Since the glow only appears at the beginning and the game sometimes makes the gag play automatically, you may or may not have seen this. You thought I would just forget about the rich side, did you? We can already see those floating signs through normal means.
Out of control! Oh, out of control!
Whoa. I just discovered where Radical spent the rest of their budget for this game.
Excellent!
And whatever this was supposed to be must be a leak for Steamed Ham's mod, but I ruined it 3. For the last area in this level, let's go there in style. Cue rat race theme.
It's harder than it is. I'm a lean, mean speed thingy. Oh, now I have a wedgie. Learn to drive, you dumbass. The important thing is I'm not imagining these guys. No! I didn't do it. Marge did it. Oh, come on. Ooh, the vibration is tickling my feet. I blame society. Nothing lasts forever. Pitch King Homer if you dare. Watch it, I almost spilled my sundae. The sessions are deep. Beat my duck. Another one. It was like that when I got here. The Aussie generic villain. Nothing lasts forever. Learn to drive, dumbass. I am evil Homer. I am evil Homer. That hurts. Can't you see I'm driving here? The important thing is I'm not imagining these guys. Take that. Coming through. Okay, that's a loss. That was so painful. Out of control. Why me? I keep. Vengeance will be mine. Ow! My neck! Ooh, the vibration's tickling my feet.
Flawless. The bottom of the power plant didn't have anything, so I skipped it. Have a look below the trapdoors. I used to think there were secret rooms down here because of how they were shaped. Other than that green tube, nothing interesting outside as always. You all know where the green tube goes after you respawn. I don't know why it froze in mid-air the time. That's all for this level, but I'm still not done. That's right. I'm showing off the bonus game tracks. The game was constantly crashing when I used the free cam in these tracks, so I had to use the model viewer. The geometry in each track is extremely questionable, so prepare to slam your face multiple times. I'm not going to comment on the disgusting geometry that much because I'll end up repeating myself to the point where it's more repetitive than level 7's missions. If there's one thing each bonus track has, it's tons of copy and pasted stuff. Track 2 doesn't have nearly the amount of shoddy geometry Track 1 had. have a closer look at the train. Someone at Donut Team brought this up, and we all agreed that this doesn't fit The Simpsons, let alone Char. Did Radical really need to make the trains this long? Oh boy. More improper use of the character swatches. More like the asset recycling plant if you ask me. Like its story-level counterpart, this track fell victim of accidental copy and paste geometry. Press E to pay respects. The C spanker is even worse here. This isn't surprising. Don't ask why Radical kept those red lines. I don't have much to say here, but I nearly missed something hidden in this track. Here's the hidden stuff. Based on their shape, they look like very early versions of those containers up there. The oddities in track 5 are much worse than in track 1. I'm out of things to say, so enjoy the rest of this video.
The end!